This lesson is on the arguments for and arguments against trade protection. Trade protection is the restriction of international trade through policies such as quotas, tariffs, bans, etc. It is the opposite of free trade. Free trade is trade without restrictions. The arguments for trade protection are the advantages of restricting trade. The advantages include the following. It helps new and small industries to grow. Protects domestic jobs. Prevents current account deficit. Source of government revenue. Prevents dumping. And prevents over-reliance on other countries. Trade protection helps new and small industries to grow. Recently established industries are called infant industries. The government may help newly established domestic companies mature by using measures like tariffs or embargoes. These new companies typically lack the capacity needed to guarantee economies of scale and efficiency. They do not have the newest technology, highly skilled labor, a sizable market, or the capacity for research and development. Therefore, protection is required until they acquire the necessary capability. Trade protection saves domestic jobs. If free trade is allowed, many domestic firms may shut down and lay off their workers. Their products may not be able to compete with cheap imported products. As a result, they can close if they do not generate enough revenue to pay their expenses. A deficit on the current account is prevented through trade protection. If a large number of goods are allowed into a country without limitations, imports may exceed exports, causing a current account deficit. There is a net outflow of money from an economy with a current account deficit. Tariffs are one of the government's main sources of revenue. The money raised can be utilized to pay for public spending on education, healthcare, roads, defense, etc. Trade protection prevents dumping. When a foreign company sells a product for less than what it costs to produce in another nation, it is known as dumping. Due to protection, large and well-known overseas companies cannot sell their goods for less than what it costs to produce them domestically. These overseas companies could cut their prices to get into new markets. Additionally, because they profit from the reduced unit costs associated with large-scale production, their prices may be lower. In the absence of protection, dumping will stifle local businesses. In view of the fact that some industries, like agriculture, oil, steel, defense, etc., are essential to the nation's economy, the government may need to protect them. This will prevent reliance on other countries for their products. For example, a country that does not protect its agricultural industry may have to depend on other countries for food. And if things go wrong in those countries, maybe having a poor yield caused by drought, the country would also be affected. Next, we are going to go through the arguments against trade protection. These are the disadvantages of trade protection. They include the following: retaliation, reduction of efficiency, reduction of international competition, and limited choice for consumers. Retaliation. For example, when tariffs are imposed, the prices of imported goods rise relative to the prices of domestic goods. As a result, imports will decrease, which will reduce the revenue of the countries that produce them. The country's exporters may lose money because of retaliation from other nations. Trade protection reduces efficiency. Every country should focus on the products that it can make more cheaply than other countries. An industry may be forced to keep making less profitable products because of protection. Again, reliance on government subsidies will not make an industry to improve its operations and produce at the lowest cost possible. It reduces international competition. Protecting domestic businesses prevents them from competing with international ones. Prices for consumers are greater than they would be if foreign items were sold in the nation without restriction. This reduces consumers' welfare. Limited choice for consumers. Consumers will not have access to substitute products from foreign sellers if imports are restricted. This might imply that consumers are not getting good value for their money when it comes to the things they buy.